Parents, when did you first realize your child was different? I adopted an orphan called Max, whose parents both died in a tragic car accident, and he developed complex PTSD. He was the only kid in his class that didn't have any friends, and when I asked him why, he told me there's no point because they could die at any second. He said it so innocently too, my heart broke. I was completely lost for a few days afterwards, thinking of what to do, until my sister showed up on my doorstep with a hamster. She asked if Max still wanted to adopt it, and suddenly, I heard a loud thud behind me. I turned around to see Max literally tumbling downstairs. He hadn't even stood up yet when he shouted, "F yeah, I would!" Fast forward 2 weeks later, the hamster was all Max cared about. He placed Mr. Nibbles on a table beside his bed every night, and it stopped him from wetting the bed. I knew things were getting really good when he started being okay with car drives again, as long as Mr. Nibbles was in a carrier on his lap. But fast forward 2 years later, Mr. Nibbles was getting old, and I was really worried about how his death would affect Max. I wanted to talk to him about it, but didn't know how, so I just didn't. But then one day, I brought Max home from school, and Mr. Nibbles was dead in his cage. My stomach twisted, and I wanted to cry, but when I looked over at Max, he was the one to reassure me. He said he was glad he got to be his friend, even if it was only for a little while. We actually held a funeral for Mr. Nibbles out back, and for some reason, every kid in his class showed up. Turns out, when Max first brought Mr. Nibbles into class 2 years ago, he bit the teacher everyone hated. Ever since that day, Mr. Nibbles was a homie to all.